Next, speaking of new platforms, I want to talk about ArtChild. So, Jared, you and I haven't even talked about this. So, our friend in Grailers, Tony Marinera, and his wife, Christina, have released ArtChild. I hear from Tony that it's really the brainchild of his wife, and they have a release coming up with Sinclair. And this release, so if you don't know Sinclair, they're a great digital artist, super rare artist. Here is their super rare page. And what I really like about ArtChild is your ability to customize art. So what is ArtChild? Let me show you guys on screen because again, like I think this is super cool. So they actually started with physicals first. Jared, you may not remember this. I barely remember this, but we covered this way back in one of our first Cornering the Market episodes. It was November 9th that we covered it. But they started with physicals, and the whole idea is that you take editions, but you can then customize the edition for whatever you want it to be. And when you customize the edition, you kind of make it unique, almost like a one of one, and it comes out as an ERC 721, not an ERC 1155. And so Sinclair's release is coming out on May 2nd. We'll have it on our calendar. And stay tuned, follow their Discord, excuse me, their Twitter for more information there. They probably have a Discord too. But it's a little bit more pop art inspired, more for the masses, and they have a diverse group of artists. And they really want it to be a discovery platform for people who want to be artists. And so Sinclair's release is going to have 4 different portraits, but this is an example here by Nico Linares on screen. Check this out. So Jared, you hit customize my own. Like I bet your kids would love this. And then you can zoom in here and then you can play with different color palettes. You can say, okay, I want the background to be green. And let's make the vines here like blue. And we'll make these other vines like this color. And through this process, you can kind of make your own art and then, save whatever you like. And just, you know what? Let's change the background to be pink. Oh, there we go. That kind of pops. Clearly, I'm not a visual artist, so do not copy mine. But the artists then have the ability to kind of lay out the outline. I think of it as like digital art on training wheels, and you can just kind of play around with it. And similar to what we've seen with QQL and FX params on the generative art side, this is more for editions and digital art. And so I think that is super cool. I'm really excited for them because I think this is a really great innovation that could bring a lot more people into the fold. And from a purely like, the way that we think about it standpoint, by we, I mean us on the generative art side, this is like, now you can get a unique piece out of what previously was an edition. And I think that, we'll see what happens with editions, etc., and how different artists decide to utilize this. But I just think it's super cool and a really fun concept. And so I'm excited for this and I'm glad they're doing this. Now, Jared, any reactions? I know we haven't talked about this before, but I was saving this because I'd be really curious to hear what you think.
I think it's cool. I think that especially if you resonate with a piece of art or at least the outlines, being able to go in and put your own artistic touch on it, um, is really cool and personalized. So I'm curious to see the stickiness of this long term. I think that there's a lot of potential for it. I really do think you just have to drive some attention to it and get people playing with it. That's super key to it. I mean, honestly, outside of this, I was unaware of it. I'm gonna blame that on my vacation and being away for 2 weeks. But it definitely gives you a lot of time to play around with something.
Yeah, and I think that what's really cool is like you don't have to spend a bunch of money to start relating with the art and the artists. And if you want to mint it, you can, but I think it'd be a great way to get more people involved in the digital art world, especially sort of like the fun pop art nature of it. I think it would appeal a lot to kids as well, and I think that's cool, right? And we've talked about parametric artists before, and we're going to talk about it a little bit later in the show. And so I think that just getting more of a relationship with the art is always cool, and it's great to see something emerge that is not just purely about the money. Not that everything is, but there's a lot of that going on in the space. So I want to commend Christina, Tony, and Sinclair, and everybody else at the Art Child team about this. Now, talking about the money, you want to talk to us about the Sotheby's 3AC auction?
Yeah, I mean, you can see it. kind of on screen. They're the 3AC, I think, which is very wise for our, I'll call it, the generative art community, is they aren't dumping everything into the market all at once. I think there's probably people who are anxious for that, or at least licking their chops about it. But instead, it looks like it's going to get trickled out. There are potentials for private sale and a few other things, but you could see up on screen right now, Sotheby's will have a limited number of pieces. I think it's like somewhere close to 10, but you can see 7. Boom, look at that. P always trying to make me look smart, and I'm not doing my best to help out. But 7 pieces. There's 3 Fidenzas, 2 ringers, and autoglyphs, a punk, and a deaf beef. So overall, I think that this is it's a super cool introduction to it. So anybody who's looking for it, there's a great opportunity here, and some really great pieces that are up for sale in a very lots of grails. I mean, just having a 3D glasses punk that's out there, that's just super cool. And I think some of the Fidenzas are really awesome. I love, um yeah, I don't think they go for that little, but like that micro is just beautiful. The mono color on that kind of neutral background. I've seen that Fidenza number 861 getting a lot of praise for it being potentially one of the better out of the entire mints. So kudos to 3AC and VVD for having the foresight and buying such great and amazing art. But now it's time for its next chapter in its voyage.
Absolutely. And the other thing that folks should keep in mind, like these bids typically include some kind of taxes on top of them. So read the fine print. Whatever you bid, expect there's going to be some percentage of a increased price that you ultimately end up paying. That's how these traditional auction houses typically work.
That's a really
So
great point. I mean, I don't know what Sotheby's yet. I'm planning on bidding, so I should know this, but usually it's like 10 to 17, 18% on top of, it's called the bidder's premium, that goes on top of the final bid. So if you are looking at it, take a look. There are definitely additional costs hidden in there, and just know what it is, full disclosure, before you place that bid.
yeah, and I think it can be a sliding scale at times. Like if it's below a certain amount, then it's X percent, above a certain amount, it's Y percent. So just read the fine print on those. We don't have all the details, but yeah, make sure you check that out. The next story, I just wanted to shout out to Bob Lucas, friend, also a Grailer, who has launched Station 3, a home of artists and builders in Web3. He's got this fantastic space down in the financial district in New York City, workspace, and he's opening it up for folks in Web3 to come and build, giving away some space for free through grants for artists and other teams. Don't have all of the details, but really it's a cool initiative he hosted the Grailers meetup at NFT NYC over there, as amongst other meetups as well. Really generous, really beautiful space, and it's great to see some movement towards in real life in our very digital world. So just want to commend Bob and highlight Station 3 here for folks who are interested. Follow him on Twitter, reach out. He's working really hard on making this a great place for Web3.